Okay, welcome there traders. Hope we're all doing well. Hope you can hear me loud and clear. Just let me know, put something in the chat if it's not, if you can hear me clearly anyway. Not too many people in just yet. I was running a bit late, so I think it's still some people to come in. Alright, we'll get into it anyway. So if you listen to this video for the first time later on, if you listen to it through YouTube, it'd be great if you can link into us on, we've got Twitter, our Twitter handle, I think you call it, if I'm being cool, is in the top left hand corner. You can join us on Twitter, follow us on there. Facebook is the top right, and the bottom right hand corner, you'll see our YouTube channel. So you can subscribe there, and then you'll get alerts anytime we go live, whether it be a stream, which is the Monday, Thursdays, at 12:30, or if it's anything else we do, we actually put up there. If we post a lot of FX stuff, well, once a week on a Friday. Nice video for to have a look at, so that's always worthwhile. That'll pop up there as well, so you'll be alerted anything we do on through YouTube. I'm just trying to think of that's probably about it. We've got our general advice warning too. In the middle, we don't give specific advice, just a general advice chat, a chit chat. What we have here, and if you can only listen to it later on, but you really are desperate to ask a question, you want to ask something, or if you don't understand anything, please feel free to send through an email to support@tradesetup.com.au, and then I'll get back to you. If it's really important, not important, but it's very interesting, then what I'll do is actually probably I can talk about it in one of the streams. I think there's a few people have brought up some really good points, which I think if they're struggling with it, it might be a few other people are struggling with. So it's always worthwhile talking about in a live stream, doing a bit of a topic. What we want to do for anyone out there that's interested in or doesn't trade CFDs but is thinking about it, we might do a bit of a, if there's enough interest, we might do a special presentation or something like that on CFDs and the benefits and the pitfalls of trading CFDs, and what the market chatter is about CFDs. There's always something going on. You can read in forums, which a lot of it is just completely incorrect. So it's always worthwhile getting the complete information, the complete story about CFDs. So they're a good product. They're just pretty much like any other product. If you don't know it, there could be a problem. If you do know them, you know what the product is and how it trades and how it works, not a problem at all. Same with futures and FX and any sort of margin product. But just let us know if there is everyone that's interested. I know we've got Paul that's he was interested and talking about that. And there's somebody else that I think was questioning about CFDs, so it's worthwhile talking about if we get a bit more. Or if there's any other topic that you think might be worthwhile, just email us. Email us through the topic, and we'll prepare something and do a special presentation. We'll get Dav talking again if he's listening. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today, not too much. We're going to keep it a bit more open, but we'll talk about the markets. Obviously, what's happening. Not much overnight. We did have a bit of a pullback. I think it was Monday night. I think, or was it not last night? The night before, Monday night. Tuesday night, whatever. There was a big pullback in the US. Monday they were away, so Monday night was closed. Tuesday night then, big pullback. Bounced back a bit last night. Nothing major, but these sorts of corrections have always been met with buying on dips mentality in the US, whereas we are, far from that. We are just choppy, and we're looking, in my books, we're looking a bit negative anyway on the ASX200. We're yet to prove that just yet, but all the hallmark signs there from a technical perspective. So it's worth keeping an eye on that. And if the US, we can pretty much be sure if the US does have a decent correction, we're going to follow suit in that respect, but we haven't followed them up as well. So we'll have a bit of a chat about that, where the markets stand at the moment. I've got an alert that I put out yesterday on Qantas, and I was just putting it together. I thought it'd be a good idea to chat through the planning of it. It's not so much a signal yet, but I think there's a lot of people out there. It's on Qantas, so I'm guessing there's a lot of people that would probably hold Qantas or be looking at it. I think it's worthwhile. We're going to talk about that today. Just go through start to finish at how we set up the levels and potentially what we're looking for if there's going to be a trade. And we're looking at pretty much a short side at the moment. I mean, it is going up strong. Quite a few things that have to happen before we do that, but right where it is, I think it could be primed. It could be completely wrong. It just blows through resistance and keeps going, but it's always worth taking note. It's worth discussing anyway. We'll talk about that. We haven't got too many else. We've got a few that we've been closed out on, for small gains and of recently. But we're still ticking away. We've got short now on the ANZ. We talked about that, so let's just get into it now. I'm not going to put I can't put the video up, so I know how much you all desperately like looking at me and picking on me. I haven't done my hair, or I haven't shaved, so I'm a bit rough at the moment. So no, it's not really that. It's just the video. I didn't get a chance to hook it up. I've got to upload. I think you've got to upgrade something. It's playing up a bit. Well, let's get into it now. So how are we all today, and how are we going? Who we got in today? I'm not sure. Ladies, you there today? All right, so the market's opened up. It was opened up about 20 points, I think. We thought it might open up a bit stronger, considering what the SPY overnight. Helen, I am. You're probably more to the point there. You know my secrets. I couldn't be bothered getting changed, so the video's not on. Yeah, that's my work suit, by the way, my jammies. We've got. There's a couple. I'm just watching something that's kicking off now. I've got to see. I got this personally. I didn't send an alert. This is CVT. Looks good. Anyone that follows this, you can see that's starting. It had a bit of a kick up through 10, and it looks like on a daily basis in a prime position. You can see that pressure to push it down there. Couldn't get it through that 6 level where it previous high or low, and it's looking like it's holding to push through 8 again. That looks quite good. We've completely lost where I am now. All right, markets. So up 20 points. Yeah, the US dragged the... Oh, thanks, Dav. You're a lovely bloke, aren't you? It's not what you say to me normally. You're trying to be nice on the chat, aren't you? God, I'm easily thrown. Yeah, so the US, the SPY 200 futures were dragged up by the US last night a bit, especially after a bit of a sell-off. Yeah, kicked up again, and they were up, and they probably haven't done much today, I'd say, because the ASX really hasn't moved from the open. Yeah, so we're dragged up about 20 points in the open on the ASX. So the SPY, they're probably both going sideways. ECB's out tonight. Anyone that trades euro or currencies, just watch out for that. That could be a bit of a market mover. They're out at, I don't know what time. It's on the morning alert. Somewhere around 7 o'clock, I'd say. They have that, and then I talk about the meeting minutes later on down the track. Yeah, not much happened overnight in the US. Bit of a bounce. You've got there's a few oils, kicked up a bit. A few of those, I think the refineries in Texas are starting to reopen again, start to come back online. Now, it didn't make a lot of sense to me previously. You think, with all the hurricanes shutting them down, then oil should have kicked up. Instead, it went down. I think that's pure the fact that they're looking at more. If they can't refine it, there's going to be more stockpiles. So, if you're trying to sell it, it becomes a bit cheaper. So that's why oil's probably kicked down, and then it's turned around and head back up because I think the refinery is going to start. They're kicking off again, refine the product into fuel, and start chipping away at those. What do you call it? The barrels, the stockpiles. So anyway, that's aside. They had, I think in the US last night, they had a debt ceiling in the US has been raised. So I think that's been a 3-month leeway. But I think that takes us towards the end of the year. Then what that may do, and just keep an eye on it on the news, is what that'll do is probably puts a tax reform. Everyone's been banging on about tax reform since Trump come in. Nothing's happened. That was one of the reasons why the market's taken off, and he still hasn't come about. He's still talking about it now, but really nothing's been done. I think they're just drawing it out a bit. I think if that's towards the end of the year, it's going to take the focus off that a bit with the debt ceiling again, with their over in the US. So it'd be interesting to see how the market takes that as more of a negative, and that could be a bit of a catalyst for a deeper sell-off. We don't know, but just something to keep an eye on. Yeah, our market today, and we'll just have a quick look at the ASX. What do we got? XJO. Yeah, it's still, that could potentially be that lower high to push through these lows at 56.50. Then we get a good correction, or we just start holding up and start bouncing back up here. Don't know at the moment. We've got I'm leaning towards the downside on that. We've got the Dow. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Indices. It's not too many there. So we've got the Dow. Still holding trend up. It had a bit of contraction, lower high here. some lower lows, but we're holding these minor high lows here. We'll just see if they can push up, back up through 22,000, and on we go. But still, that longer term trend is definitely up. There's no doubt about that. FTSE, we've got there. That's looking a bit weaker. Potentially this lower high working its way through here, but still you've got this support zone to get through. It's 73. And there's no reason why I can just keep retapping that and bang straight back up again as they support it and build a higher low and then go. Sounds a good little rhyme. The DAX has been grinding its way. It's looking more negative than the others, but it's still coming down to that support zone around that 12,000. It's not a major support though, so it may be a bit of this, just a longer term, more sideways than anything else, holding up support, then build the high lows and go again. What else we got? Just that S&P was the last one I'll quickly look at. S&P 500 still up, and that's the big one. I think there's a lot of people that trade the E-mini, and we've spoken about it in the past a lot. Always trying to pick the tops and getting washed out a lot. If you can just with your trading stick to the trend. The trend's your friend, all that sort of stuff. But pick your levels, know what the structure's doing, because they do contract lower. Like this is a prime example. You've got a key level right down here, off just above 24, say. Let's just make that a bit thicker and we'll drill in on it. So there's your key level through 24. We always talk about lower highs, but lower highs in context to what's happening. If you get a lower high here and people generate this big red candle, you can see some selling, but the context, the market's still up and no anchor level has been broken, no swing level, whatever you want to call it, hasn't been broken to the up, to the downside. So generally, I like a lower high when it's broken a key level. So this could easily, push through 24, and then I'll be looking for the lower high to potentially longer term sell, or to change my bias basically from up to down, to bullish to bearish. That's what I'd be looking for. When you get these lower highs, that's contraction, so I'm still biased long, and then this is a prime little area. Just in here, you can see that little pop up, a couple of green candles. Tried to go again, bit of a gap down on the open, it looks like, at 24.30, and we had that rally up to 24.80. So that's your inside high, low, off contraction. That's not a rollover. That's not a change in trend at all until we break that anchor level, and then that's a good little spot to buy again. So really, this is telling me maybe it's the start of a new leg up. Maybe we're going to break through these highs. You build your lower high here. Everyone's trying to pick the top. Look, we've got a lower high. I'm picking the top. I'm going to be a legend. Turn around and get squeezed straight back out again. So just keep an eye on that, guys. That's a bit of a big long-winded effort there. Just trying to think of what else we got. A newie. We got ANZ, which I was kicked off yesterday with that push through this low. Got our exit, risk level up at around 29.75, I think. So this is still, I still expect this. It's the longer term structure, like that weekly. Sorry, that daily. Let's just get it on a longer term chart. I think we've spoken about this. This structure, you got this push up, good correction lower, and we push up, and we start this leg up here starting to fail with this move through that little anchor level. Say around 29, you got this good sell off, pop back up. So I'm looking at this being a lower high in context to this leg up, and this level here up at 33 is a major lower high compared to up at 37. So I think there's some room to move on the downside. Even if it just that corrects your secondary leg lower, it's still a good 4 to 1 easy on the short side. So I think the chips are stacked in our favour at the moment, and you can see with this move up, this recent move up here, it's quite strong. Some good buying into there. It didn't get very far. It didn't get anywhere near this high at 33. So where it was overbought previously. So the strength of that move up was met by a lot more selling. So we always talk about two legs. That's your first, a correcting of that leg up. Buyers start to try to pick the bottom, and then potentially a second wave of selling, push through those lows at 27 and then beyond. But do like that one. That looks good. And just that was our daily entry. We'll just see how we go on that. What was the other one? ORE. That's kicked on. That's kicking on. It keeps kicking on today. So that's looking good. Let's get on here. Oh, that's not it. That's ORE. We've taken a partial on that, I believe. Can't remember where. Maybe like a sieve 395. I think we took a partial just up there. 395, 390 to 4. From our entry, looking great, but that's looking for continuation. So there's a good chance if this can push up through 410 today, we're going to be raising our stop, just tighten it up to maybe 355, 360. Give it a bit of room, but I think that's looking so strong. I think it could go. We're targeting potentially a good strong move up to 5. We'll see how that goes. I can't think of anything else. We got short on CCL, still short that. Taking a partial at 4 to 820 thereabouts. Just dropped our risk a bit. I think we got it about 850 or so. I Can't quite remember, but it's around that zone. May drop it again, but I just want to see that now that the fact that it's got through $8, you can see it's touched it 1, 2, 3, just pushing through again. Maybe we bounce straight back up, and that's the end of the trade, or this is the leg that takes it a lot lower. It is extended to the downside here, but it's still grinding its way lower on a daily basis anyway. That's about it. We've got a couple of goldies. This one, DCN, is just not as happy as that one as I'd like to be. We're still up on it. It's looking okay, but it's just we had a good rally on gold, but not so much on DCN. It didn't go like I expected, so we'll just keep an eye on that one. Newcrest is going like I expected. Entry here, taken off, looking nice. Looks like I want to see it up at 25, say. I think that's about it for us. So what I'll do, any questions just on those, anything we just showed you before we just get on into Qantas. Now, who gets... I'll just wait. I'll have a sip of my coffee. So if we get any questions, if not, just who actually... who's receiving the alerts, or who keeps a tab on them, or just watching them? Did you get the Qantas alert? Did it make sense? And any questions? Because I just want to run through. I think it's worthwhile because the first thing I looked at, I was looking at this daily chart, and I don't mind it at all. This daily chart doesn't look bad. I mean, I'm not saying I want to sell it. I would jump in here and sell it. I just say it's got the potential to have a decent correction, and that's why I thought it was worthwhile potentially looking at it with everyone and sending it out as an alert, because you know that it'll probably have quite a few people loaded it up long on this, and I think it's worthwhile if you load it up long, just to keep an eye on it, to really tighten up your risk potentially. Does anyone own Qantas? Or does anyone agree with me there could be a potential short involved? Because if everyone thinks it's long, I might change my mind. I'm known to do that. All right, well let's have a look. The thing to start with, just looking at the daily, just break down the daily. It's not so much the daily that I'm more looking at. The daily looks good. There's no... I've got that. So you can see definitely that trend is up. You've got rising support, blah, blah. You've got that good push up once it got through. We missed this one. It was stupid of us. Stupid of me anyway. Missing that push up through that 4. And then that's kicked off a nice strong leg up. We got up to here. And this is the interesting thing for me, and it only really became interesting when I noticed the weekly and the monthly charts. You had that push up here. We tapped that level a couple of times. We've had the correct back down to the MAs, so more of a reversion to the mean, to the MAs, and started lifting. And this was, you've got your lower low here, pop back up, lower low, lower high. Then we started, getting that inside high low here, look great, and that pushed back up to this level just below 6, backed off a bit, and then blew through it. And then straight back down again. So it could, if you're looking at this, it could be another inside high low. You've got that little wedge, whatever you want to call it, push up through 580, and go on with it and just take out those highs just above 6. And the stochastics are certainly in place for it. You can see there's quite a good little sell-off down here, quite a fair bit of pressure there into the oversold, but we're holding those high lows. So on the daily chart, it's looking not too bad. Now, the thing that, analysing that, okay, you're biased up on the daily chart, but, who's got the sell? I haven't got a sell rec on it just yet, Helen, but something definitely to look at. If you're talking somewhere else, if people are saying the sell, that's interesting. Why? Because the daily chart, that looks nice and strong, but if you click it over to the weekly, and just before we draw up the weekly, this is the monthly. Look at this high. This is a monthly high. I know it's a long term. It's way back in 2007 when it kicked up. It got to a high of 606 here, and on this, a couple of months later, it was 606 high again. We traded to 605, so 1 cent below those highs, and that makes a lot of sense when you're just flicking it back to the daily. With this little, pullback, we popped up, tried, and we just washed out that high. And then basically the day after was a red candle. That makes a bit of sense. You've traded up towards that monthly resistance zone. There's a major resistance zone there. And just taking that note, it does that a lot, sucker in a few long traders potentially here, and that could be fuel where it knows that last little ditched effort, people are trying to buy it, buyers through here. There's a lot of fuel lined up. If you go back to that weekly, a lot of fuel lined up for a perfect reason why it could easily sell off. And there's one other thing where we'll always look at, I think we've explained before, those two legs, you know, one leg up, contraction back to the MA is a secondary leg up. And if you actually draw those out, we'll have to go to that weekly for it. Go back to our weekly. Makes a lot of sense. There's a strong resistance. It's sort of a few things playing in together. Helen just said the divergence. You've got a little lower high here and a little higher high up here. Then you've got in the stochastics, it's divergence. I don't take a lot of notice, but the reason why I do take notice, because a lot of other people take notice of that. You know that you tend to be your retailers. They read that in books, retail traders, you know, divergence, convergence, divergence, whatever you call it. They trade from that. I don't think it's the best way to trade, but I do think it's worthwhile just keeping in mind that there are punters out there trading it. So there's a few things that are lining up together. You've got a major monthly resistance zone. You've got it extended up here. It's overbought. Then you've got divergence with this little push up and just pop up through the monthly high, a cent below. And the last sort of thing that I've been looking at is, let me just draw it up on the weekly. And get that there. Is just this move. If you measure that up from support to resistance, that leg up, that's your initial leg up. It stopped, it failed, you know, through here. You got this little, once we got that breakdown through, it's contracted. It didn't really do too much. It was still quite strong. Good contraction there. And if you measure that out from low to high, that takes you pretty much right to $6 or that resistance zone. Or maybe it's a fall short a touch, a few cents. But those two legs up were quite even, and we call it volatility projection. You just sort of, when you're trying to pick where it could go to, if you were buying it through here, beautiful. Then you're picking out where it could go to. You've got that leg up. You try to measure it up, and it takes you to that $6 level. If you looked at your monthlies, your weekly, you go, hang on, that lines up with a perfect resistance zone. There's a good chance that we're going to get a bit of a reaction off that zone. We may punch through it and then sell off. We don't know. It could just keep on going, looking at the daily charts. But there's a few little things lining up for me where I'd be concerned. On the weekly, my level would be on the weekly is I'd like to see, and it comes back to the anchor levels. You've got to know your anchor level. If you're holding it from, ideally, if you're holding it from here, great. Or even from here, you're holding along, great. You can let it prove you wrong. Push down below 5. Okay, that's broken that anchor to the uptrend. Then probably you're going to get a fair bit more selling because of everything else we just discussed. That major monthly and weekly resistance zone. Get a bit more selling, but only after you break that zone that you'd be concerned, and potentially look for your lower high and then get out. Maybe bail on a position and just wait to see it reset for another buy, an opportunity. But if it holds up above there, that's your key. You've got to just, you can give it a lot of room, especially if you bought it through here. What I expect more than anything else is that to actually play a factor. Maybe get a few of these late longs, and you can see it better on the daily chart. These late buys through here to get washed out of the market and start feel concerned because they haven't got really much room to move. This is going to be a deep correction. You don't want to be holding it long from way up at 580. You'd prefer to be, you know, buying in the unknown way back here. And there's always people that are going to buy it up there, add into a position, whatever. But ex-div date tomorrow, that'll be interesting to see how it goes. It could be a bit of a trigger as a sell-off. We'll see. It could hold up just till then and bang, over we go. Do you know how much the dividend is, Chris? I could Google it, but I'm a bit lazy. Does that make sense, just what we're saying? What I was just trying to explain there? Holding it through here would be great. You can give it some room to move, and your anchor, I'd only be negative on this trade. Because two things could happen. You just blast up through 6, continue to go, may correct, but hold above the anchor level like we just did, we spoke about on the ASX, I think. Or, I think it was the ASX. Anyway, one of those indices. Hold above the anchor. And then go again. And that's enough choppiness to flush out a few longs, put people back on the sidelines, but not break the anchor, and then start to hold some high lows and then go again. 7. That's not going to take it too far anyway. Well, that's not going to be much of a, you wouldn't expect it to do too much there. 69. Down to 70 cents. Was that 70 cents, Div? 7 cents. All right. Anyway. So yeah, I think, the people who are going to get flushed out and may come under a bit of pressure are the ones that bought it late into that trend on the weekly bars anyway. You know, into here expecting it to go. And this kind of setup could easily drag in some more more people long. I just think buying it here on that breakout through 580 was ideally, it's a nice little setup. For me, remembering the weekly charts and what you've got coming into play on the weekly and longer term charts and the extent that we've had that rally up, I think it's a lower probability trade to expect that to continue on. I think it more than anything, if it does kick up, it'll probably wash out 605, 66, take it to highs and straight back down again. Then you start this, it's more of a washout trade, and this could just be a washout of the highs. So we might hold 580 and then roll over, take out these lows, then start attacking down towards that 520 and so on and go through. And I hope we'll see. I hope that it's all sort of quite clear. What I think it was quite interesting just talking about it and taking into account, you know, this sort of projection up, this projection up. There's a lot from this chart. Buying it up here for me is a really low probability trade. If I was going to buy this, I'd rather, you know, chop down, wash out a few, you know, take out this low, correct properly like this, and start to hold some higher lows and get something like this potentially for a third, you know, nice strong leg up. And that way you're taking advantage of a nice strong. It's washed out some people, put them back on the sidelines, put them out of their trade. They might still like Qantas for whatever reason, the fundamentalists, put them back out, and then start building for a new leg up. And that way you've got, I think it becomes more of a higher probability trade. But right here, I think there's everything to me is saying that there could be a potential short, or at least that, you know, that good washout. We don't know where that's going to go, how that's going to play out. There's still a lot of work to do, but I think it's worth noting that. All right. Yeah, just a 606, I think, to be precise. So that's it's a key resistance zone there. And after I saw this candle, go, okay, that's all right. Maybe it's building again. Then you see that makes a lot more sense when you realise it's at that resistance just above 6. That is just washing out these previous highs that bought it through here. More of a washout. For me, that's making more sense for move on the downside, but we'll see. Could be wrong. You might get the dividend announcement and it drops by the div and then it starts a bit of a sell-off. More technical sellers come in, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Just going to make sure I'm not getting the phone call through. No. All right. All right, so any questions just on that? Davin, do you have a question for me? I know, your normal question, why am I so cool? I'm starting to talk rubbish now. If there's anything you want to have a look at, if there's no questions on Qantas and just the way we broke down that trade, or not trade, but just analyse that stock. Lucky you can't see my face, Dev. Yeah, just chuck anything into chat now and we'll get onto it. Anything you want to have a quick look at, Chris or Helen? I think there was one other. I can. Just want to quickly look at it here. While we're waiting, CAN is. There was nothing from before, was there? All right, CAN is one that you've probably seen it in the news. It's a cannabis, and they've got. I think they've done their first harvest. I can't quite remember. I'm pretty sure they've done their first harvest, and they're looking good. They're probably the key one in Australia with licensing and what they can and can't do, and the first one into production and harvesting. So I think they've done their first harvest. I know I've repeated myself there, but I'm pretty sure they have it. Looking good. Now this, you can see that's had, you know, chopping around here and bang, gapped up, pushed back down. It held these lows through around that 45 mark and then start holding, you know, a higher low in here, which is the key. I think I personally bought it. I think I bought it. Geez, I bought it here. I bought it sort of through here as it was starting to lift again and bought some more and kicked up through $1. Kicking myself that I didn't get it. I think I waited for that day and it popped up through $1 again just here. Got out. I got on that second day and then it kicked up to $1.50. Now that nice little extension up, and you expect with this type of vertical movement, you're going to get a bit of heat come out of the market. But I still think it's got a lot of potential, this one, and probably early days just yet. And you're probably going to get a lot of people who have bought it through here, spent a lot of time, you know, a good few months through here before it lifted. And you've got probably about a month of rally, half a month of rally. A lot of heat's going to come out of there. Whether or not this dollar level holds up, But ideally, I'll just get up the chart of, ideally I'd like to see some higher lows hold, and then that could be, because that's really just your first leg up. If we can get a lot of these late long positions, late buyers washed back out of the market, people who have bought it there maybe still holding it longer term. A few of these late ones washed out, back on the sidelines, and then you start holding some higher lows. Could look quite good. I'll just get up the charts rather than what I was trading. Can. All right, that's it there. So not trading, this is what I'm potentially looking for. So I'm really looking for this type of price action. I want to see it hold through here. It'd be nice if it can, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if it test or retest that dollar level. If that becomes a double bottom, and then looking for that higher low to build something like that, and up we go, and to lift us up and through, 127 or thereabouts. But yeah, it looks good anyway. So that was from a couple of days ago, I think. 2 days ago, yep. So yeah, let's just see it. It looks like it could be just holding a little lower high, but I think it's more going to be contraction than anything else. Holding higher lows and lower highs until it breaks either way, until it corrects further, and then kicks up from there. Euro US. CVT. Oh, okay. We'll start off with CVT because I'll have to get up the Euro chart. And saying that, I'm just trying to think where I can get the Euro chart from. I know we've got it on our system, but do you want to, what Euro chart there, Chris? What sort of time frame you're looking at? So I think we're just uploading, changing everything, or changing a few things on our charting package. We've got a bit of data that we'll get. We're going to go to a new server probably overnight, maybe, and then that charts will just, they'll fix up the little gaps. Just one gap we've got in it on a daily chart. It doesn't make any difference, but it's the we'll put it on a 4-hourly. I'll get that ready. First, we'll just look at CVT. So we got CVT, VCT. What is that? That's interesting. Let's skip that. It's only had 2 days. So CVT, yeah, really nice. Just like we said, that could, just drawing that up, I reckon it's quite clear if we get up through that 8. What is it? At high 7.8, which is it's in line to doing that today. So just keep an eye on CVT, guys. May even do an alert on that. I think that could be, it's that 10-cent mark. It touched on 10 a few days ago, or probably a couple of weeks ago. It didn't do that, that 10 move we probably described a few times, but it's primed. It's in a good little level. Good sell-off from 10 down to 6.5. Held 6.5. Good pressure on the selling, but the buyers just as strong, holding it up at a slightly higher high, and then, higher low. And then if it can kick up through 8, I think that's going to continue blast through 10, and then you'd start to look up towards the 14 mark for the next potential resistance zone. It's quite a good resistance zone there too, anyway. But there is a lot of potential there. Look how the type of sell-off it's had, and it started basing mostly through this year. Sell-off, and it's held these lows. I mean, it can't go much further, but it's just started the last few weeks, started to lift off that support zone at 2.5 and targeting 10. We may get that secondary leg up, like we said. 1, if that takes us up from here, you measure that out, say from 3 to 10, 7 cents. Yeah, it takes us pretty much to that 14 mark as well. Another 7 cents from here. 13 to 14 cents, so there's a lot of fat in that one anyway. What was it? Euro ORE. ORE, just want to see if we're going to raise our stop on that, I think. Oh no, yeah, we'll just raise that anyway, just a heads up, just to lock in something at break even on the second half, but that's looking really nice. There's not much to talk about that. Yeah, you've had this big, go back to the weekly probably, this corrective move down, a pop up, retest those highs at 5, took out this low, made a lower low, but really going through that low at 3 down to 25 cents is not much considering that leg where it come from, right up at 5. Quite strong move down, but didn't take out that low by very much at all. Then you got this pop up, then you built this higher low back above 3, and just took out these highs recently with this pop up. So it's looking good. I like that structure. Longer term, that could easily target up towards 5 and through. This could support a nice, healthy, strong move up. Back to the daily, you can see the high low there. Beautiful entry through here. Major higher low, the inside minor higher low when it went through 345 or thereabouts. Kicked on and just took out this high. That's a key for us. So this one could easily get a nice, strong move up. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a powerful move up to 5 and retesting that. So keep an eye on that one, guys. If you've got it, keep an eye on that. It's a winner anyway at the moment. It's a good winner at the moment too. So let me get rid of that. Now, Euro. So any time frame in particular there, Chris? Well, what we'll do, we'll analyze it from top down. We'll start on the daily chart and just see what it's doing. Look, we've been biased up on this one for quite a while. If anyone follows the alerts, and just look at it on that basis. That's your daily chart, longer term. Let me just get, and you can see that it's a big strong move down. Then it started bouncing around. It's holding this support. So it's over a long time, 2015 to 17, a couple of years. Pushed up, retest, pushed up, lower high, blew out this low. On a daily, on that longer term basis, it's really not much, and that's a big, healthy, daily wash out of those lows. You can see. Look, let's just draw it. You can see through there. That's a nice, healthy washout, and then you started holding these higher lows, and that there. After you see that washout, and then you get these higher lows holding, especially after the number of tests it's done down there. If you can't go on with it from there, which you should, if it's a really negative market, and then you get a high low, then I just think there's a lot of people that have shorted it through here. They're going to get washed back out of the market. And that's pretty much what's happened with this move up, ideally back up through these highs. So we've been biased up on this one for quite a while now. I think the first time we started looking at it was somewhere in this zone, just as we started pushing up through that 109.54. And that goes off being seen a lot of people biased to the downside, bias short, knowing that there's going to be a lot of retail punters loaded up on the short side that are potentially good fuel to get washed back out of the market. And so just looking at that longer term structure in play, that there is a high potential for a move up. And then you got the fuel there that's ready and raring and lined up to get squeezed back out of the market as grinding higher. That was pretty much, and then it comes down to just looking at daily setup. We looked at a shorter term time frame, I think the 30 or an hour chart, to get us set up in here to buy, and it's popped up, pulled back, retested the low, and then off she goes. And same thing through here. We looked at it just in here. I think it was on a 30-minute time frame, not the daily, but it was at this level, push up through 111.78. The risk was never came into play at all. That risk, it pretty much popped up through there, retested that zone, and bang, off she went again. And that again, was just that's dragging in. Your key level here is at 111.15. That was that support here, and you're grinding down to there from lower highs, lower lows, but the anchor there is at 111.15. So until that breaks, would not have gone short. And you know that people, what that move does with the lower highs, it's just dragging some more short sellers to squeeze them back out of the market and just continue higher. And that's exactly what it did. You got a little higher low in here. We loved it. Pushed up through, right up through 112.86, and it really hasn't looked back. You can see that squeeze, push down, bringing some short sellers, probably trying to pick the top after this move, selling into it, thinking, oh, this is the move, it's going to go over from here, and then bang, squeeze them straight back out. Nice strong move up. This is ideal too. Sending out another alert there just to keep an eye on for another short squeeze with this move down. I think it was off a 4-hourly chart if we just break that down a bit. Yeah, so it was just in here for that short squeeze, and again, it played out beautifully. It's spiked up to 120.71. So from here, the key longer-term level, I would say, is just through this low, and it's quite a way off there. What is that? It's around 116.82. You're 119 now, so a long way off. I mean, it could always contract, but there could be a lot of choppiness, some lower lows. If it takes out this level through here, just dragging in longer term some more sellers, because that was a bit of a washout move. You know, it has squeezed quite a few sellers out, and you've got to get a few more, start getting the cojones, I guess, to go and short it back into it again. There's a minor level there, but still, that's holding. To drag them back in, if you get this lower high form in here and go down to the lower time frame charts, you might get that wash out of this level. But in context to this move up, and that's your key level, anchor level to the longer term trend, 116, until that's broken, you know, the bias is still up on the upside, and all this is doing is dragging in some short sellers. Does that make sense there, Chris? So again, me personally, I'm still biased up on this one until it changes. I think as it stands, there's still 60 to 70% on the short side, so there's more than enough fuel to keep this one grinding higher. If there's going to be a further US dollar sell-off, if the ECB come out tonight and say something quite healthy, they are a bit worried about a high euro, but it hasn't stopped it from going higher. It's probably more on the back of their growth and a US dollar that's going down that's pushing this up. But if nothing really changes, this thing could just keep squeezing those short sellers that are trying to pick a top. If you go back to the daily, just to pick a level out to see if it's extended or not, where is it going to? God, just look at it. I mean, there's still some clear skies. You might have right up to 127. You know, that breakout's there where it sort of went here and just fell off a cliff there. There's nothing for me to say just yet, because we've had this good strong leg up and it hasn't corrected. But really, in terms of resistance, you've got these little levels here. If we can just draw that up, they're only minor. You know, another minor level. It may pick one of those to turn on. But apart from that, really, there's no other real level. So if you take that as the first one, that's 25.95. There's still really some good potential for this just to continue on and keep going. Keep dragging people in on the short side and squeezing them back out again. So we'll see how that plays out. Does that make sense to everyone? But I am still pretty much biased up until everything changes. Until you got an anchor level. I mean, this trend is up strong. Nothing has changed it for me. If you get into, let's get into 30 minutes just to see what's happening on this last few minutes. Sorry, this shorter term time frame. Yeah, so we could hold through here. You've got little minor levels through here. If that can break, we get a lower high here. Squeeze these, you know, short sellers come back in. We might put pressure on this downside, wash it out, hold up, high or low, off we go again. We don't know, but just keep an eye on it. Shorter term, I probably wouldn't buy just in here, personally. I'll be looking for a longer. I want to see work my way. I want to work off a major high low. You know, when you get this sort of corrective action, we could come down. If we come and retest and build a high low, completely different story. Then you're potentially looking for a buy, especially if it washes out this zone at 118.28. Now, anything else you want to look at, guys? We'll get back on the stock page, see where we are on the ASX 17, not moving at all. Go ORE. Let me just see what we're standing on that. Just see what results-wise what we're doing. Haven't put it in the system just yet. Looks good, all right. So was it 404.10? Okay, that's... Alright, so as it is, we made 15% on the first half, and we're up about 18% at 410. So this could be one that, you know, you don't know where it's going. 18% is cracking. I mean, to look at that, you could just go, look, just take it off. I'm happy with that. But this could be the one that goes all the way up to 5. I mean, if it kicks up to 5, even 490, that's 42%. So it's worthwhile just riding it and letting it go, see where it goes to. Either way, it looks really nice. All right. I'll just wait. If there's any other chart, anything you want to look at, otherwise we can just call it a day there. Have a short and sweet session. Yeah, there's not much else for me. It's been a bit of more of a difficult market than anything else because where the ASX has been sitting up and down, sort of stuck. So there has been some prime setups. I just saw Bub, which is something we did have and then missed the second entry I think as it kicked up to that 95 zone. I can't remember where we had it, or I had it personally, but either way. It's coming in there. I'd like to see it do a bit of work here. This could, if we can hold some high lows in here, that could be another one that could move and start attacking, through $1 again. Some good things happening there anyway. But you can just see that vertical move up to $1. There's a lot of heat. Probably still a bit of heat, maybe on the weekly chart that's got to come out of there. Don't know. On the daily, it's looked like it's in a good little zone here, but this could just lead it to a pop up to 75.80 and then roll over for a deeper correction. So if there is a long setup, you just got to bear that in mind. Some others, I don't think there was one PNR. I haven't looked at that just for a while. Look, I was looking for that potentially to hold, but that's not looking that best now. Still a healthy chart. The way it's holding this around that 24 mark. It's not highly traded, not a lot of volume, but for your smaller punters out there, might like it. There was one, I think that's the one, Explorium Limited. Like this one, and from what I hear, it's doing some good things too. So that's one. Just keep an eye on that, guys. If you like the smaller cap ones, the miners, like Davin just mentioned, resources seem to be doing some good things now. So it's worth just really, picking out some nice quality resource stocks. If there's nothing else is going to happen on the overall index, they might start shining again. BGA. Let's quickly have a look then, Helen, just before we... You really want BGA, don't you? Hit enter 3 times. It's making me laugh. It looks awesome. Just that chart there. See that nice structure? It's good, extended sell-off. Nice red candle. Pushed down, had a secondary move there and started holding right back up to where it broke down. Washed out a few people. This moved down. Broke up through that high. We're on a daily. Wash out. And it's doing this. Look at this. This is something to keep an eye on. This is probably a good thing just to take note of when you look at charts. They all, generally each stock might have its little intricacies to take note of. And you can see one here, it's clear. You see how it couldn't get up there, and it just has this extended move down, breaks through those lows. That pattern's just played out roughly again here. Move down and then bang, we started that leg up. So that's, produced this leg up. Same thing, can't get through. Washes them out, but only really returning to the MAs. Could return to the mean. Sorry, Helen, just seeing you. It's not showing on my screen. I thought you were getting angry with me. All right, so you got that pop up there. That looks so just taking notice of this thing that played out here and it played out again. Maybe it's going to play out again on a small scale, but just beware if you chop around here and you buy it, it might do the same thing again, wash you out, get you out of the market, and then bang, turn around and straight back up again. And you see that actually looked like a good little trade. It popped up here. For me, ideally, I would have liked to seen it break up through there. So my sort of style of trading has kept me out of that correction there, but it's probably kept me out of this move up as well. Anyway, let's look at the weekly chart, because that on a daily looks nice. You got a big level up at about 8. I think it's going to push up into 8 at least. There's nothing really ahead of it at the moment. It's coming off a solid base through here at 4 as well. So that, that leg up, we've pulled back, retested there, come off a higher low, higher lows, holding higher lows up to 8. Might even just blast through there. So, look, it looks good anyway. There's nothing wrong with that weekly chart, and bigger cheese, nothing wrong with that daily. That daily's on its way up. So just to see where it could go to, you measure that low, say 560 up to $7.40, so 780. So okay, potentially if you just measure that leg up, measure it from here, it could be taking us to 780. Back to the weekly, see if there's a level at 780. Look, that's taking us up towards these highs just below. So it could extend. You might extend and retest these highs, wash them out, pull back, build a major high low, and then go again. But if it falls short of there, I'd be more inclined just to be partial to a good move on the downside. All right, so that's BGA for you, Helen. If there's anything else you want to have a look at, type it in a few times. Anything else, guys? Otherwise, we'll just might call it quits there. Actually, just a few more. Anyone that knows that Davin's been following Fleetwood, look at that. FWD, I'm on a weekly chart there. he was having a bit of fun with that one. It's looked good. ASX, we got stopped out of that one yesterday, and look, that's a dividend today. Pushed it down. Not a bad. I mean, I don't know what was their dividend actually. Dividend distribution ASX 99 a buck, and it dropped by. So we're out at 53.50. It's gone, so it's dropped a buck basically. So I mean, if it wasn't a bad stop out, to be honest. I think that, you know, pretty much locked in a very small gain there. I was a bit, didn't like the way it was doing this, and when you got a couple of red candles just coming off potentially a lower high, that move through 54 was we're probably really bound to get stopped out there. I was hoping it wasn't, and I was wrong, and it just, you know, popped back up again. But probably pre-selling in that dividend, knew it's going to move down, a bit of short. Who knows what happened there, but yeah. Anyway, what we'll do, guys, is call it a day there. Thanks very much for joining us. We're back in on Monday, so have a good weekend. Like I said, any questions, anyone listens to this later on, any questions you may have, feel free to send it through to support@tradesetup.com.au. And then yeah, we'll get back to you. Anything you want to take a look at and maybe have a bit of a hot topic for a stream, just whack that through, some ideas, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, and also if you do like what you see, it'd be great if you can leave us a like at the end of the video, or just get the word out, help spread the word. That'd be awesome. We're telling everyone we know, so it'd be great if you could too. If you think we're rubbish, sorry. Anyway, thanks guys for joining us. We'll speak to you again soon. Cheers, bye.